Greetings, everyone. It is GleeCon again with an episode of Lore of Warcraft. On our last one, you got to experience me at my lowest, definitely. So I don't remember in what context I saw this word, but I guess there is a maybe like a Twitch insult. I think I was like reviewing terms and conditions or something for streamers, and then I went down a rabbit hole of which words are not permissible on a streaming episode or a streaming broadcast. And then that led me to see, well, here are some newer insults that are permitted under the user agreements. And one of those was the word mauled. So if someone is calling you mauled, I guess you might already know this, but someone that is going bald and is getting excessively mad. So then in retrospect, it was a very maulding episode last night. So yeah, I could have done things a lot better, a lot differently. Should have, could have, would have, should have. So that's something that happens to me sometimes a lot, where I will just persistently try to keep doing something long past the point where, not to say I should have given up, but I should have calmly collected myself and thought of another strategy. And I think I do it a little bit more when I'm on camera, because there's almost like this ticking timer, the stakes are higher. So, and the whole, like, all hindsight being 2020, it's fine. There's frustrating experience. WoW, and especially WoW Classic, can be a challenging game, and it's nice to have an episode, I guess, on camera where you get to see me just totally frustrated and sucking completely. So it happens even to, I can't say this to the best of us, but even to those of us like myself who have been playing it for longer than a lot of people have been alive. We've also, in addition to watching our undead die in the Silver Pine Forest, we've also been reading through the Alliance Player's Guide, the Dungeons & Dragons source material, and we read about our gnomish history last time. So we're going to continue down that path. Stay a while and listen as we pick up the last racial history. It's not the last thing in this chapter, but it's the last bit of racial history with Furbolgs, because they've decided in this book that Furbolgs should be an Alliance playable race. Take note, Blizzard. And here we go with Furbolg history. When we arrived on Kalimdor, the Alliance thought the Furbolgs were just a race of massive bears. Well, you can't blame us too much. We had more important things to deal with at the time than meeting a new race. But we learned the truth soon enough with our own experience and corrections from the Night Elves. Furbolgs have lived years of introspective peace for thousands of years. Much like the Night Elves, they were content and happy on Kalimdor, and we later discovered in Northrend, living in their woodland homes. The fascinating thing about these beastmen is that they are intelligent speaking creatures who communicate eloquently, but they do not attempt to forge communities out of their surroundings. Like bears, they live in nature, not attempting to bend nature to suit their needs, although they do have like little tents and stuff. The Furbolgs established friendly communication with both the Tauren and the Night Elves, as each of these Kalimdor native races had communities built around the worship and use of divine magic, nature magic. They were peaceful beings, but as fearsome as they appear, they lived their lives dedicated to nature and the forests. When the Burning Legion tore the world apart in the Third War, it deeply affected these peaceful beings. The Scourge polluted wells, making many Furbolgs sickened and mad. The Burning Legion's arcane magic tore their simple minds apart. Their numbers were split. Too few of them remained sane to learn to fight these unexpected horrors. Too many rampaged to the forests, so maddened by either the poisons in their blood or their magic-addled minds that they shredded anything and anyone in their paths. These crazed Furbolgs are called corrupted Furbolgs. You could even make the argument as well that it's some old god corruption happening from, if you think about what's happening in Northrend with the Grizzly Hills Furbolgs. There's a little of that too. Suffice it to say, their deep ties to nature most likely are making them more susceptible to the corruption. Faced with the unexpected attacks by demons, undead, and their own people, the Furbolgs joined the fight, putting their generations of hunting experience to more violent purposes. Formidable warriors they've always been. Formidable soldiers, well, that is a newer concept. Some Furbolgs hired themselves as mercenaries to forces on both sides. After the war, emissaries from both the Alliance and the Horde, advised by the Night Elves and the Tauren, I expect, approached the Furbolgs and invited them into the affiliations, but they declined both. Perhaps it was their reluctance to choose between their friends, the Night Elves, and the Tauren. They do seem to be closer to the Night Elves, but I don't think they want to claim themselves the enemies of the Tauren simply by association. Perhaps they simply felt their problems had always been their own, and they would make their current problems their own as well. They are a proud folk. Currently, the Furbolgs aid Ashenvale, trying to heal the forest and their own adult kin, although many reside in Northrend as well. They find both ventures difficult, however. The first goal is shared by the Night Elves and seems attainable, although the job is massive and takes years. The second goal is looking to be sadly impossible, and the Furbolgs have had to resort to hunting their own kin to make the forests safe again. The way they see it, they are releasing their kin from the prison of their maddened bodies, which allows them to accept the ugly job with more grace. I can understand this thinking, but it has made the peaceable Furbolgs a race entering a militant era. They have become a dour race, many saddened by the duties they must perform. And here you have a picture of that, like ostensibly a player character, Furbolg fighting probably a corrupted one. Furbolg culture. None of the races who were affected by the Third War, note that is pretty much all of us, have turned out for the best. We all stumble along as best we can, some of us just surviving. However, something about the state of the Furbolgs raises a great feeling of pity in my chest. Except for the people who have had to fight their own loved ones risen as undead, no one has faced what the Furbolgs face, the necessity of hunting more than half their race. They've made no headway into attempting to heal these poor beasts, as that is what their kin have become, of their madness, even though the most talented druids and shamans tried their hands. Their world has changed quite a bit, besides in the obvious ways. Formerly a peaceful race, Furbolgs now zealously hate the Burning Legion. A demon can drive a Furbolg into a rage at the mere sight of it. She will charge into battle without a thought of the opposite side's numbers or strength. Furbolgs use their size to become formidable fighters against a war machine instead of woodland prey. For most, their peaceful existence is a way of life no more, though some remove themselves far from civilization and attempt to continue their traditional existence. This is especially true in Northrend, which is already far removed from civilization. Although considered and respected as an intelligent race, Furbolgs are not terribly bright. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. They remember more about their own history than most of the Alliance has in its libraries, and since many human and high elf libraries were destroyed or abandoned, I'm sure many historians would love to have the abilities of these beings of lesser intelligence, quote unquote. They know the woods, they know nature, and they know their friends, their enemies, war, and death. They know the undead and the demons. In fact, they know more than they wish to know, so many do not even want to learn more. Most Furbolgs see no need for intelligent pursuits, although some have ventured into other cultures to learn more. This is a freakish-looking Furbolg. It's like I don't know, it reminds me of something from like Wizard of Oz or something. Their newer experiences with other cultures have done much to keep the Furbolg sane in this time of crisis. They visit the Night Elves in Ashenvale frequently, seeking guidance, camaraderie, and information. The Alliance and Horde have attempted to get the Furbolgs interested in being diplomatic messengers between them, but this rarely happens. Furbolgs are expanding their horizons, but they are less interested in Alliance-Horde relations than in their own problems. I feel like we're really padding out the word count on this one. A lot of it seems repetitious. I'm getting paid by the word over here. Sometimes you don't know whether to pity or fear the Furbolgs. An enraged, maddened, 8-foot-tall Furbolg is not something anyone wants to come across while traveling, not even other Furbolgs. They have established patrols of warriors with the sole purpose of hunting corrupted Furbolgs. These patrols travel with a shaman for additional support. These warriors are often morose and solitary, and the other Furbolgs respect and honor them, doing what they can to remove their siblings' burdens of regret. When not attempting to heal their forests or their own people, Furbolgs focus on hunting the Legion's agents, who they blame mostly for their plight. You do not want to get between a Furbolg and a demon. To keep life on track, more young Furbolgs than ever are training to become shaman. seeing the holy men and women as the only adults who seem calm in these days of horror and uncertainty. With half of the population looking to pick up the spear, although they are deadly enough with their claws and bite, and the other half studying the magic of nature, the Furbolgs are a society whose society is changing. One positive thing the war has done for the Furbolgs is get them more acquainted with the world outside their forests. Formerly only the friends of the Night Elves and Tauren, beings of the forest, and a self-contained people, now the Furbolgs are watching the movements, political or otherwise, of the Alliance and the Horde, traveling more, learning more about the world outside their forests, and widening their view of life as it applies to them in this new, harsher world. Some see this as a bad thing, and indeed many Furbolgs chafe at their new associations, but I have a different view. Life moves on, and nothing that the Scourge, the Burning Legion, or the conflicts of the Alliance and Horde can stop it. The Furbolgs, although a saddened people, are managing to adapt to their new roles faster than many of the races who find themselves uprooted and confused. They view the world as a beast does, oftentimes dealing with the trials that come their way without worrying too much about the reasoning behind it. I often wish I could view life that way. So, not impressed. I think you could just have had so much more fun writing about the Furbolg here, and it just seems like they just spent a lot of time circling around saying times are changing, they're hunting the Furbolg, they're neutral to the Alliance, and then saying that 3 different ways. But with, maybe I just need to pass a better knowledge check to glean more from that. Here's what you would gain with a knowledge check, which depends upon your intelligence and training. Pretty much everyone with local knowledge, any knowledge, local knowledge or nation knowledge knows that Furbolgs are an intelligent race, despite their appearance of massive bears. And most heroes and most people and almost all heroes, basically almost everyone with knowledge of local or history stuff, know that Furbolgs are historically peaceful, close to nature, and friends of the Night Elves. The Third War, however, has altered their outlook. And a solid chunk of people, and about half of the heroes that have knowledge of Arcana or local knowledge, know that the Burning Legion corrupted many Furbolgs in the Third War. I feel like I don't even remember that. And these maddened Furbolgs pose a threat to all races, including their own. And finally, the OG geographers and local knowledge people out there know that Furbolgs claim Grizzlemall in Northrend as the seat of their culture. I feel like yes and no, that's definitely a big capital of theirs, but the seat of their culture seems a bit strong, considering how you're arguing on the one hand that their ties to their own history are so long, and how on the other, Grizzlemall is a relatively new construct, because it was created by the Night Elves not that long ago. All right, so that's it. We got another episode in the pipe, 5x5, and you're going to end it looking at this freaky little demon Furbolg one more time. Thank you, everyone. I look forward to seeing you. Let's block his face next time on Lore of Warcraft.